Hello guys, Shreid here, and this is a guide for the Crusader class, but before we get started I have to say that I'm not a min-max player, therefore this is not the best build that you can have. Indeed, this guide is mostly meant for beginners or players that have some problems with that class. So with that being said, we can start talking about stats, on which one you should focus and which one are less important. First one is the damage against boss, that can be found in the detail list on the offensive window. Why is this important, you may ask? Well, you need to know that dungeons in this game will apply a damage reduction to the player, that will vary depending on the difficulty and dungeon. So to pass through that damage reduction we have the damage against bosses, elites and elements. But the most important one for now is the one versus boss, because those are the most resilient monsters. And so the minimum amount needed is 70% because that's what normal dungeons usually have, but 90 is recommended because that's what most if not every in-game dungeons have. As for the second important stat, we have crit damage against bosses, and you want this one cap, which is 300, and to achieve that you take your primary weapon crit damage and add the one against bosses. Pretty simple. But be sure to don't go over 300, because past that number you won't get any bonus. Last important stat of course is the raw damage. Higher damage means faster clear speed, and so less time spent farming dungeons. And after that you can focus on whatever stat you want. It could be crit because you want to crit every single time, speed for the cooldown and the auto attacks, movement speed to be nimble, and so on. So with important stats out of the way, we can move to the allocation points, including envoy path and weapon specialization. But let's start with the character windows first. As you can notice, on the offensive part I spent 99 points into damage and 10 on crit. Well, the reason is the one I said before, you want as much damage as you can possibly have, but sadly the cap is 99, so the rest has to go on crit or speed, just choose whatever you prefer with the rest of the points. As for the defensive part, I would not recommend going full HP from the start, do it only after reaching 75% on defense, so just use every point into that, then respec out into HP once you have good gear to sustain the defense. Well, nothing to say about evasion, because I think it's a pretty bad stat, but if you wanna invest into it, feel free to do that. Next is the voice path. Here there are notes that you absolutely need to take no matter what you're going to do with the class. So the first points has to be spent on all the damage nodes on the right, and then on the HP nodes on the left. After that it's pretty much up to you where you wanna spend your points. I always take crit and crit damage nodes because those are useful. Then finish it up taking more damage nodes for the skill I use the most. In this case Breaksword, but if you like Oli/more, maybe something like this is better. And that's pretty much it for the voice path. Now as for the weapon mastery or specialization, level them both to 50 to get all the points, and then choose the one on the left if you wanna go full berserk or the one on the right to be more tanky, but I personally recommend picking the one on the left. Anyway, with these 100 points you wanna spend them on damage obviously, movement speed, well this one is more optional but really helpful, and full resistance, this one is very important to mitigate good part of the damage received. After that spend the rest wherever you prefer. Now, as for the masteries, these are the ones that I recommend. General skills, Ground Fracture for the damage boost, attack spec, Zeal, while 10% chance to deal almost double damage is pretty good. You can also use Divine Power for the permanent damage boost, but Zeal is just too good. For the advanced skills, Breaksword, because it will increase the overall damage. Defense spec, Extreme Speed. This one is only for the movement speed. You can also pick up Vigor or Courage to be more tanky. Tactical spec, Break Defense, again more damage. Special skills, the best defense. This one is really helpful to cap the defense while having a good weapon and crappy rolls on the armor, like mine. But if you're already capped in defense, then Deep Blue and Omniscience are good options. Now for the equipment, we'll start with the level 60 set. You can skip this part if you have no problem reaching level 70. And so starting with the weapon, this green sword should carry you to 70 pretty easily because of the X effect. Works the same as Zeal, but instead of 10% chance is 5. And I think the damage proc of this one is around 60 or 80%, which is really good. But if you're still having problems, then upgrade it to the crafted version. It's the same but provides more raw damage and crit damage. You could also use this level 65 gold weapon, but it's not really worth, unless it's very cheap, then maybe, but you'll throw it away anyway once you reach level 70, so I recommend not investing too much. For the armors, go for the green nightmare set, the orange devourer set or the level 65 gold sets, these in particular. Take the level 65 only if they're cheap. As for the accessories, I would say wait till level 70-75. But if you really can't, then take either Flakja or Miyazara set, they are both very good. Last, the trophies. Use a double Malodnar, the green and the orange one, because those are the best at that level. You can also use one elemental trophy along with one Malodnar, but that will only boost the damage of one skill and the damage against a specific element. And in my opinion, those aren't great for an all-around build, but if you're the type of player that want to spam only one skill, then take one. Now for level 70, this is where you start gearing properly. Starting again with the weapon, craft the level 70 with lightning or holy element, choose the one you prefer. If possible with 125% attack bonus or more. 120 is also pretty nice, but having more will make your life easier. At level 75 you can switch to the gold ones, but I would still go for the crafted one, because it's cheaper, easier to obtain, and you can also use a core for more customization. And in that matter I recommend using a deadly or a destroyer core. But if you can't afford them, then any will work, just try to get the highest attack bonus possible. As for the enchantment card, you want something like this, the flat speed and again another chance to deal another damage. Not sure what the exact value is, but surely more than 50%. But I know this costs millions of gold, because it's got tier. So an alternative for poor people like me can be something like this, which are very cheap. Well, in the end, take whatever you want really. As for the armor, get a sniper set because it can be used till level 90 if you really want, and there's no big difference with the one at level 80. So for cores I recommend Imperial for movement speed, Bestial for HP and damage, or for a cheaper solution Spiky and Shadow. They provide 1% damage anyway, and that's what really matter. For the armor enchantment cards, if possible go for full damage, the one with percentage and flat damage, because these are the best, but then again it can be quite expensive, therefore taking hybrid damage cards are also fine, like this, with of course flat damage. As for the accessories, you can either craft the level 70 or get the level 75 gold set. The level 70 will provide a bit more customization due to the cores, which are the same of the armor by the way, and very good for solo play. While the level 75 shines while playing in a party because of the debuff that applies on the enemy. Choose whatever you prefer. The enchantment cards are the same of the armor. As for the trophies, get both green and orange Godzilla, especially the orange one, because that's one of the best trophies currently in the game, so craft one as soon as you can, and yes, always same core. Once you reach level 75, I highly suggest switching the green trophy with this one if possible. The reason is pretty obvious, but if you can't, then stick with the green one. As for the level 80, this is pretty much straightforward, everything is crafted, so level 80 weapon, full damn armor set, accessories you can either go War Exemplar for raw damage or Arcane for some extra speed. And trophy love the Pass Infuser, this will replace the green or the gold one. And cores and enchantment cards are again the same of what I previously said. About the secondary weapon, use a blue or white nocturnal weapon till level 80 or 70, then craft one with the nocturnal core. Why level 80? Well, that's because all the level 80 weapons provide a 10% damage against boss, an enchant card slot, a 10% penetration which is very useful for endgame content, and a nice +1 for all the skills. But I know nocturnal weapons sometimes can be expensive, so here's a little tip to get a white or blue one almost for free. So go to Kaktakara Forest, talk to the weapon merchant and buy the level 28 white weapon you need, and keep buying till you get a nocturnal one. If you're lucky enough, it can also roll with 12% damage against boss along with the nocturnal, which is very good. For the last piece of equipment, which is the Gaia emblem, well, choose what you think is the best for you. Movement speed, damage, crit or crit damage, but be sure to take the red one because it provides more base damage. As for the secret stones, starting on the armor, you can take whatever you think is the best for your playstyle. But be sure that the stones have +2% damage as a suffix, like this, because the 2% goes on the detail list, therefore more damage against boss. For the weapons instead, I highly recommend using Lava Secret Stones, 7% damage, not detailed, and 2% crit. It's pretty nice, but if you can't, then a Zephyr Stone should also do, again both with the 2% damage suffix. About the costumes, they have to be orange versions, for the all stats +1, then the head with HP +2 and the rest with damage +2. For enchantment cards, I recommend using these cards with these orange enchantments. If you're playing in the private server, then you need to know that there's a visual bug and the orange cards don't show the +1 skills, while it actually do give the bonus, so keep that in mind. And for the last part, the Eidolons. Choose or make one with +25% attack speed and +24 damage. For starters, I suggest using Yarnaros, Eligos or Cleopatra, because those are pretty much the standard Eidolons. And that's it, I think I covered all the basic stuff for the Crusader class. But if I don't and you still have some questions, then feel free to leave them on the comment section down below and I'll try to reply as soon as I can. Anyway, that's all for this video, I hope you found it helpful and if you did, please leave a like, it really means a lot to me. So thank you all for watching and good luck. Bye!